Okay, let's get read chapter 5. Books? Books? Jack and Annie ran up to the front entrance of the villa. Jack pushed the door open. "Go in, hurry," said Annie. They slipped into the main hall. "Hello!" Annie called out, and there was no answer. The place seemed empty. The main hall had a large opening in the ceiling, and below it was a small stone pool filled with water. Jack looked at it carefully. "Oh, I bet rain comes through the hole," said Jack. "Then it lands in the pool so they can use it for their water." He started to take out his notebook to make a note. "There's no time, Jack," said Annie. "We have to look in all the rooms for books." Okay. Calm down," said Jack, and he put away his notebook and followed Annie. "Books, books," she said, peering into a room off the hall. She moved to the next room. "Books, books." Then she moved on to the next. Jack trailed behind her, even though she had already checked the rooms. He took a quick peek in each of them. He wanted to see what a house in Roman times looked like. He'd write notes later. The first two rooms had wooden beds, and the walls had pictures painted on them. The floors were covered with tiny pieces of colored stone. The third room had a low table with silver dishes on it. 3 sloping couches were placed around the table. The couches were covered with pillows. "This must be the dining room," said Jack. "People from Roman times lay down on couches while they ate. Did you know that?" He looked around for Annie. Where was she? "Jack, come here," Annie called. Jack followed his voice. She was in a garden off the dining room. It had a stone patio, palm trees, and grapevines. In the middle was a pond with a mermaid fountain. Goldfish swam in the water. "Look, there's another room," said Annie. She moved to the door of a room off the garden. She opened the door and peeked inside. Jack looked with her, and along the walls of the room were long shelves with rolls of paper on them. "Rats," said Annie. "No books." She closed the door. "No books in this whole villa. Let's get out of here." "Just a minute," said Jack. "I have an idea." He pulled out his Roman Times, and he found a section called Writing. And he read, "Romans used pens made out of small reeds. Their ink came partly from black ink of octopuses. They wrote their books on scrolls of papyrus paper." "Aha!" said Jack. "That's a library of scrolls. I bet our ancient lost story is in there." Boop. Let's do chapter 6. Jack threw open the door to the room of scrolls. He and Annie rushed in and ran over to the shelves. Jack pulled out the piece of paper with the Latin title on it, "Vir Fortissimus in Mundo." "Okay," he said. "We have to find the scroll with this title." They began frantically unrolling the scrolls one by one, and they were all written in Latin. "Here it is," said Annie, and she held up with the scrolls with the words that at the top matched the ones on their paper. "Yay," said Jack. "I wish I could read Latin so we could find out what the story is." "Don't think about it now," said Annie. "Let's go." Annie handed the scroll to Jack, and then they started out of the room. "Come on," she said. "Bring it. I just want to check and see what the story is about." He put the scroll in his leather bag, and then he flipped through the book on Roman times, looking for pictures of the ancient scroll. In the middle of the book, he found a picture of a volcano erupting over a town. Under the picture was written, "For 800 years, Mount Vesuvius was a peaceful mountain, rising above the town of Pompeii. Then at noon on August 24th, AD 79, it erupted into a deadly volcano." "Oh no," whispered Jack. "August 24th, AD. That's today. Oh man, what time is it?" And he looked around wildly. "Annie!" She was gone again. "Annie!" Jack grabbed the leather bag, then clutching the book, he tore out of the scroll room. "Annie!" "What?" Annie peering at the door of the dining room. Volcano, stuttered Jack. What? Said Annie. It's coming, a volcano, at noon. Annie gasped. What time is it? So that's what the soothsayer meant, said Annie. The end is near. What time is it? Jack asked again, and he looked around the garden. He saw something near the mermaid fountain. A sundial. He said, that's how the Romans told time. Jack and Annie raced to the sundial. What time does it say? Said Annie. I don't know, said Jack. His hands shook as he turned the pages of the book. He stopped on a picture of a sundial. It showed examples of different times. Jack looked back and forth from the page to the real sundial in the garden. Here, he said. He found the one that matched. Jack read the writing under the picture. The shadow on the sundial can hardly be seen at noon. Oh, man, he whispered. He looked at Annie. The end isn't near. The end is here. Just then he heard a terrible blast. It was the loudest sound he had ever heard.